Listen, I don't care what anybody has to say. Persona 3 Reload kinda slaps. And yes, I have only played Persona 5, thank you very much. Okay, but for real, I do understand the criticisms with this game. It's not perfect. It's not, no game is. But this game does have some of the best music to come out of this series. The original Persona 3 has one of the most unique soundtracks that I've ever heard in a game, and the way the Persona 3 Reload takes that original and just fucking dials the sauce up to 11. It's magnificent. Now, by 2024, we've obviously had a lot of remakes, a lot of them of varying quality, but I do truly think that a lot of the time in any of these remakes, no matter the actual quality of the game, the music is something that always gets looked after. We've got games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, which are taking their original soundtracks and just expanding on them, enhancing them, making them some of the most incredible soundtracks that we've ever heard in a video game. And then we've got games like Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, which are very faithful remakes right down to their soundtracks, which are just updated versions of the original tracks. And I don't think Persona 3 Reload fits into either of these categories. I think it sits in a very solid middle ground between the two. And that's why the title of this video is How Persona 3 Reloaded Its Music. Not just because it's a very good pun, in my opinion, on the title of the game. I think it's actually very apt. Reload's soundtrack is almost the perfect mix of the old and the new. Some tracks are kept intact, some tracks are remixed into others, which are like an enhanced version of the original, and then sometimes these tracks are completely new, completely different, but based on the work from the original. So let's start with something completely new, with the opening track, Full Moon, Full Life. So, for normal people who don't sit and analyze Persona music for hours at a time, this might sound a little bit weird, but this song is basically Burn My Dread Final Remix. But what does that actually mean for normal people? Well, let me tell you. This song is the blueprint for how Persona 3 Reload makes its music. It takes so much from Burn My Dread, which was the original opening song of the original Persona 3, and it actually just transforms it into this completely new beast. This shows up in so many ways across the final song. There's one really obvious example in the lyric. But this song goes so much deeper than just that. And to prove my point, we have these chords right at the very start, which kind of replicate the opening of Burn My Dread. Then this little organ flourish is kind of similar to this little flourish from the verse of Burn My Dread. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Alex, these are stupid and they don't sound anything like what you're saying they do. And okay, I accept that. But these next ones are actually really real. Case in point, this little bubble sound effect is literally ripped straight from Burn My Dread. It's the same. And then once we actually get into the song, there's these little pizzicato strings in the background. And what are they playing, if not the verse from Burn My Dread? This is what I love about this soundtrack, because not only is there stuff like this peppered throughout just this song, it goes all the way down, baby! Like, the first lyrics of this song reference the fact that it's a remake.
Crazy how time flies.
It knows that we know that it knows that it's a remake, and it's telling us that it knows. And then after the verse, which is kind of its own little thing to itself, we have the triumphant return of Lotus Juice.
Sounds like it's meant to be.
Wake up, the spring's made when things fall apart. Get up, what matters at the end is how you left tomorrow. Read up, fire in my soul, fire in my heart. Till you sit on the other side of stars.
And I say triumphant because this really, truly feels triumphant. Lotus Juice was only featured on a couple of tracks in the original Persona 3, but he was easily one of the most standout parts of the whole game. So, when they made Reload, they brought him back, but not only did they have him on the tracks, he helps produce the music for the game. Okay, enough of me gushing about Lotus Juice. Back to the music. So, this little pre-chorus part of the song features the very same trumpet interjections from Burn My Dread. And then as we move towards the chorus, we can hear this part, which is a direct reference to this part of Burn My Dread. And then we're into the chorus, and this is where the final remix part of my description of this song comes into play. Now, I could be reading way too deep into this, but I honestly think that the lyrics even kind of give us a clue as to what this part of the song represents.
Oh, the journey starts somewhere with the first step.
The journey starts somewhere with the first step. That's a signifier to me that we are stepping into new territory with this game. This kind of works in even more of a meta sense because this is Atlus's first time remaking one of the modern Persona games, which many fans kind of consider to be perfect. But yeah, again, that's all my film student brain trying to read into stuff more. Musically, the chorus really just abandons everything that we've heard before, and it builds its own sound. A reloaded sound, if you will. So if you're only listening to the opening movie version of this song, which for the purposes of this video I am, this is where the song ends. You get the little lyrical reference to Burn My Dread, and there's also in the outro a guitar that joins with the chords from the opening of Burn My Dread, which honestly is just like the cherry on top of this beautifully reloaded song. This song fucks. Iwa Todai Dorm is probably the song that best mixes the old and the new together. And I think, again, this is evident throughout the whole song, but, you know, I'll point some of the things out for you. So with the original Iwa Todai Dorm, we have this, like, bit crushed kind of sound. Where in Reload, we don't have that. But you'll notice that they're exactly the same. Now, I don't think it's the same, but I do think that Reload uses a very similar sound font for the trumpets. It's this kind of MIDI, kind of like early 2000s-y sounding vibe. I don't know, I could be wrong. It just kind of gives early 2000s to me for some reason. But I do think it kind of lends to the idea that this is a song that you hear in the dorm, like playing on the radio, which is what I get with the original. And when I tell you that Lotus Juice pisses all over this fucking soundtrack, this is what the fuck I mean.
So dance, if you wanna go ahead, free to do whatever, I'm chilling on my bed, I'm out in my biz, so mind your own biz, whatever like is, we gon' flow with.
This shit is his territory, man. This man takes the original lyrics and works them in to a completely new verse. And not only that, this song now also makes sense for the location. His new lyrics kind of reflect what you would be getting up to in a dorm.
Chill vibes, the nighttime I love, the sound of unwind, any types to rise, yeah I'm down, sit back, relax to the sound that goes around, 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 she said.
Instead of whatever the hell the original lyrics were saying.
So dance while I put you in a trance. Let's party. Boogie in your body. Work that body. Make sure you don't hurt nobody.
And on top of all that, this song also has a completely new second verse. This is just... I have no words. This, to me, is, as I said, Reload's shining example of mixing the old and the new. The melody itself is exactly the same. The only difference is the lyrics and how this song actually operates in the game. And honestly, I think it really breathes a whole new life into the dorm. So before I start actually describing what I think is different with this song, I'm going to play two clips back to back, one from the original, one from Reload, just so that when I actually start talking, it makes sense.
I've never felt like so miserable. I've never felt like thinking this will last forever. I never felt like so miserable. I never knew I'm thinking this will last forever.
Okay, so when I tell you that this song sounds sunnier and more open, does that do anything for you? The original has this really kind of like unique muted tone that I don't know if I vibe with, but Reload kind of opens it up. It makes it sound brighter and more inviting, which makes sense in the context of the game, because this song is actually only used exclusively in daytime exploration because they made a new song for nighttime exploration. And a special shout out to lyricist Lotus Juice, who worked his lyrical magic to take out "Your Love Came All Over Me," which honestly needed taken out. That's a terrible lyric that should never have existed. And say it with me now, this song also has a new second verse and second chorus. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, but this is just yet another example of Reload taking the original material and punching it up. It's elevated the soundtrack from one that was very well respected in the Persona community to something that rivals even Persona 5. So, Color Your Night is a song which is entirely new to Reload, but, as has been the case with one of the other songs that we've covered today, this song is also based on another song from the original game. Joy, also known as the song that plays when you're doing your social links, is what this song is based on, but it takes it way slower. This song is actually the new song that's used for night exploration, and it blends perfectly, in my opinion, from day to night, because it uses the main melody from Joy. Since you're probably already coming from hanging out with your social links, you go back to the dorm for a second, and then you come out into the nighttime, and you hear this familiar melody. Now, I say it's familiar, but it's definitely not the same, because it's in a different key for a start, and it also just has this undeniable sauce that Joy just really does not have. It's got this kind of smooth jazz vibe to it now, which really fits well with the nighttime aesthetic. And of course, in true Reload fashion, the song is merely based on the original melody, because it takes it and blows it the fuck open. We've got an original Lotus Juice rap, we have Azumi Takahashi on the vocals, and we also have Lotus Juice singing. I don't believe in God, but if I did, this would be the proof I'd use to prove that he exists, because this is genuinely like divine stuff.
Coming over down.
For the days ahead of us, put your hands up, wave it side to side for good luck. For the nights like this, put your hands up, love the moment even from dusk. Yo, you always got my back, and of course I got your back. Don't you worry about that. Now, it's been a good day, good night. It's gonna be a good day. Good enemies brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one love. But the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah. Da-da-da-down, da-da-da-down. Baby, baby. Da-da-da-down, da-da-da-down.
Okay, I know I've been glazing this whole soundtrack this entire time, but unfortunately, that's about to end, because we have quite the stinker with Mass Destruction. Mass Destruction is a very unfortunate casualty in Reload, and of course I'm still happy that it's in the game, obviously. It wouldn't be Persona 3 if it didn't have this song. It's so synonymous, but it just doesn't have the same kind of vibe. Unfortunately, I really think that a lot of that has to do with the vocals on this song, and that's not at all to say that Azumi Takahashi is not a talent, because she absolutely is, and I truly cannot wait to see her at Persona Live if she ever goes, because she is absolutely fantastic, just not on this song.
Mass destruction.
Oh yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Baby, baby. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Baby, baby. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I think my issue is that she just feels a lot stiffer on the remade tracks than she does on the original stuff that they made for Reload. But again, that's not a slight on her at all. I think it's just a testament to how unique the original sounded. Yumi Kawakura on the original version of Mass Destruction just sounds messier, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah. Da-da-da-down, da-da-da-down. Baby, baby. Da-da-da-down, da-da-da-down. Oh yeah. Da-da-da-down, da-da-da-down. Baby, baby. Da-da-da-down.
I mean messy in more of that like free flow jazz kind of way than messy in a bad way, because it's not bad. The original Mass Destruction sounds fantastic. It feels rough around the edges. It has this kind of dissonant tone. It feels scrappy in a way that Reload's version just doesn't, and therefore I don't think it really suits being the battle track. And it's not just the vocals, I should add. It really isn't. The trumpets sound terrible, for lack of a better word. The original kind of layers the trumpets to make it sound improvised, as if a band kind of materializes around you whenever you enter a battle, and they're just kind of going at it while you fight. But Reloads just doesn't really feel spontaneous like the original does. It feels very clinical, it feels very set up, and it feels like an imitation of what came before, rather than its own interpretation of the material.
Disturbing the peace. Look into my eyes. Now tell me the things you were laughing about behind my back.
Okay, this is the final song in this video, and I think it's a really good one to finish on, because It has all the elements that I've talked about previously. And it also might be a little bit of a stretch, which is perfect because it's very similar to how I talked about the first song. I think this song is a mix of both of the battle themes, those being mass destruction and unavoidable battle. And it starts immediately by sampling the opening sting from Mass Destruction. And this is perfect, like absolutely perfect to cluing you into what this song is. You notice that motif and then you realize how intense the music sounds. And I mean intense in like the bombastic kind of like, this is it kind of way. Which is where I think this song gets its similarity to Unavoidable Battle from. I tried very hard to find similarities between these two songs and I couldn't really find any, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I'm doing here, but I also weirdly kind of think that it fits. And let me explain. This song takes so little from the original game that I actually think it's the perfect like poster child for the new in Persona 3 Reload. If you're grinding Tartarus, this is undeniably the song that you're going to hear the most throughout the entire game. And the only thing that I can actually discern that this song has lifted wholesale from the original game is that sample of Mass Destruction. Now you'll remember from about 3 minutes ago when I said that I thought that Mass Destruction in Reload felt like an imitation of what had come before. This is their version of Mass Destruction. The song perfectly utilizes Azumi Takahashi's voice, the same way that Mass Destruction uses Yumi Kawakura's voice. The song also virtually has the exact same structure as Mass Destruction, but it once again just takes it to the next level. We have Lotus just singing in this, which we never had in Mass Destruction. Where Mass Destruction makes you feel, you know, kind of cool when you're fighting enemies, this song makes you actually so pumped to fight. It just punches every single element up while also being completely new, which I think is really kind of the whole ethos of this video. It's kind of what I was going for. So, good on you, Persona 3 Reload. You're consistent. I'm not actually doing this song, but I just, this is the end of this video. So, even though I've stated this multiple times in this video, I think I'll just say it one last time, just in case you skip to the end. Persona 3 Reload's soundtrack is not a remake of the originals. It's not a remaster of the original. It's something completely and utterly unique that I genuinely am so glad exists. Musicians have been doing this stuff for centuries before Persona 3 Reload. The Sega sound team did not invent reworking something you already made, but I just think this is masterful work. To make new compositions that slot so perfectly with the rest of the soundtrack that you actually have to question whether they were in the original game or not is no small feat. But to integrate the original material so well that it's almost like you're sprinkling little Easter eggs all over the soundtrack is genuinely masterful. And I honestly think that this is why this soundtrack is my favorite Persona soundtrack, because it just has the fucking sauce, man. It just has it. It just fucking has it. But anyway, that's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, good, I'm glad. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
君のこと覚えている